We're continuing our look at obesity in Georgia with pediatrician Dr. Lynette Wilson-Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Karen.
We go way, way back. In our first segment, we talked about the skyrocketing childhood obesity rate in Georgia. Are there similar trends in children and teens in our state?
Absolutely. It's an epidemic. It is overwhelming our population.
And you did actually extra research on this with the Society of Obesity.
Yes.
What did you learn?
I secured my certification in obesity medicine about 2 years ago. And the reason I did it was in order for me to be a better pediatrician and actually to be able to impact the condition early on. So with my education and knowledge, it actually explained to me or showed to me that with parents, we need to be asking the question when we're asking about family medical history, ask about obesity in the family.
Oh, okay.
Because if there's one parent that's obese, then that increases that child's chances of being overweight or obese by 3 times.
But what you're noticing, I'm sure, is people aren't admitting to being obese. Like if, you know, my child went into a doctor and they asked him, is one of your parents obese? Do they really know?
If we don't ask, we won't know. But in most cases, when that child comes into the office, one or both of the parents are present. And so we are able to ask the question about family medical history. We're able to delve further and let the families know that it is a recognized chronic condition that can lead to other problems.
Now you've got a mobile unit because
Yes.
you wanted to get into the community.
Yes.
Because you notice kids in a lot of underserved communities aren't seeing physicians.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how is that working?
It's working out beautifully. And because we're able to go into the school with a parental consent, we're able to constantly remind that child that is identified as being overweight to give them tips on a weekly to bi-weekly basis to advise them on what are some of the lifestyle changes that they're recommended to make in order to be successful in reducing their body fat.
Okay, let's get into what are the foods that are hurting our kids right now?
Well, the main ones are the carbohydrates. They're eating a lot of sandwiches. They're drinking a lot of sodas.
French
fries and
pizza.
Yes, yes.
So
those
drive-through,
are favorites.
is that hurting them as well?
Yes, it's driving them up to being larger and larger. And so the goal when I speak to my patients is to reduce portion sizes, to reduce the bread intake. If you get a sandwich, take one slice of the bread off and just eat the meat and the bread and your condiments, which should include your vegetables. So we're trying to teach them healthy tips.
And when you look at middle schoolers, high schoolers, they can be the cruelest to their fellow classmates. Are you finding that leads to eating disorders in some kids?
It can, but what I'm noticing is that the skinny child is ostracized a little bit more than the overweight or obese child because the population has kind of skewed this vision of what is large, what is small. And so basically there's a misunderstanding of what is the appropriate size. So sometimes that smaller child in the family is sometimes said to not be healthy because the larger child is thought to be more healthy.
Now, when you look at just the kids getting to doctors, parents aren't going every year. So how are children supposed to go every year? What are you recommending to families?
It's a training. It's a training from the onset. So starting from that newborn, we're encouraging the best feeding for that baby is breastfeeding. Breast milk is the best. And that actually, we're not suggesting that you mix breast milk and formula because then the child learns to not recognize the cues of when they're full. So they continue to eat, they do the breast milk, and then they supplement with formula. They really don't need the formula. The breast milk is enough. And so basically we're enlarging that child's little almond-sized stomach to not really know when they've really reached satiety.
And then you know, parents, old-time parents, oh, give that baby some cereal.
Yes.
There's an age where you're supposed to start that.
Yes, and now we've actually reduced the recommendation of doing cereal. We've actually, you know, kind of recommended that we wait until the child is about 6 to 9 months to introduce cereal.
And kids love technology, laptops, video games, but they're not getting out exercising like we used to.
Yes.
What are you recommending?
A tip that I've started recommending, and this is within the last couple of months, started recommending set your timer. They all have phones. So let's do 15 minutes of your network, of your Netflix, of your iPod and those games, and then let's do 3 minutes of exercise.
Okay.
Okay, and let's do it repetitiously so that you get in about 10 sessions of that, and then you're getting your 30 to 45 minutes of activity a day.
Doctor, thank you so much. I could sit here and talk with you all day. Thank you so much. We're going to put information on the website about how they can get some things answered. Be sure to like Public Affairs on Peach on Facebook. There we post our upcoming episodes and ask for all of your feedback. That is it for this week's edition. Happy Easter, everybody. We'll see you back here next Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m.